Hey, there's that deep, heavy sigh again, right? Yeah, well, as our dear friend Leslie Jordan says, well, shit. hmm So, exciting day of conversation. Um, Thank you for stopping by. Um, just start, Chadwick. Some of you may remember when Christophe St. John left us, and I went on to say, don't put him in that one box, that one category of actor. And I'm definitely going to say the same thing about the body of work that is, was, and ever shall be Chadwick. He was such a craftsman and dedicated to the work and the process, as evidence in the work and the characters. No, not characters, the men that he embodied, and then the characters that he embodied. So please don't box him in as what I know is one of our favorites. I know it's one of your favorites. Of course T'Challa, of course Black Panther, but just know that he and his work was so much more, you know? I find it ironic and extraordinary that I'm talking about Chadwick's body of work while his body was in battle. And yet. So if you have not heard, tomorrow the state of South Carolina will be flying the flags at half-mast. Of course, that was his home state. And so just continue to keep his family in your thoughts and in your prayers. Before we start the chat with our special guest for today, I wanted to just read a quote, one of my favorites from Chadwick. Purpose is an essential element of you. The struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who's against it. He would go on to say in that same speech how he really fought to not give in to the typical roles that were offered to him. And many don't realize that that's actually a part of our craft. You know, like most of you, you know, you have opportunities and you're like, oh, but that's not what I want to do. That's not who I am. That's not what I feel I'm called for. That's not my purpose. That's not a part of my destiny. And he showed us how to wait on your destiny to reveal itself and to hold true to those things. And so I respect and celebrate, of course, his life, but his choices as a craftsman and as a member of our industry, and God in heaven knows, as a member of the human race. Extraordinary human being. Extraordinary human being. So, okay, let's knock this out with a guest I'm so excited to have with us today. She is extraordinary. She founded and created Black Girls Code. And I love watching her. Hello.
Hi,
You want
Kim.
to just talk about you? Oh, how are you?
I am doing as well as I guess can be expected, as all
Yes.
of us are during these really uncertain times and kind of being hit left and right, it seems, at times by one loss after another. So
Yes.
I'm hanging. I'm
Yeah.
hanging in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for still keeping our chat for today. Quite honestly, you know, it took all I had to put one foot in front of the other today,
Mhm.
you know, with the week that we all have had. So thank you for being here.
You're
It is an
very welcome.
it is
You're
such an honor to meet you.
It is an honor to meet you. Like you are one of my idols for such a long time, and I've been watching you almost grow up before our eyes, like everyone. But because your name is Mike, my name,
Yes.
you hold a very special place in my heart, and I've been,
Hmm.
just watching you for years, and I'm so inspired by you and your journey and your body of work, and not even that, like what you bring to the world. So I'm honored to be here.
I didn't think I had any more tears to cry, Miss Ma'am. And here you come. Thank you for that. All right. All right. The Love Fest is over. Well, not over, but beginning. So let's
All
chop it
right.
up.
Okay.
Um, so, founding Black Girls Code. Uh, and I watched her TED Talk and I thought, what is she talking about growing up in the 60s and 70s? She doesn't look like that. What does she mean? What does she mean? And I have to, let's kind of back it up a bit.
Yeah.
For everybody who knows the word, but we don't know what we're talking about, what is coding?
Hmm. So coding really is what we would consider like the foundation of technology. So for like Instagram or Twitter or any tools like Zoom or things that we use that are powered by technology, even television, if you will, there's a language that goes behind how those mechanisms and applications run. And that's what we call coding, is really learning how to write the language, the code,
Mm-hmm.
the script,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, that
Uh-huh.
tells these programs what to do and how to do
Thank you for breaking that down
them. Okay.
in
I
a
mean,
way
does
that
it
I could
make sense?
understand that.
I try to make it as simple as I can, but it's really just as simple that it's like a language, but it's the language of how applications, technology, how that language works to make something happen.
That's funny. That was my next thing was, is it a language? And that you're teaching this language to girls and women of color.
Absolutely, it's a
Hmm.
language. Like we've always had these conversations about how or where coding should be taught, and it is should be taught in my mind, like any other language, like you learn French, like you learn Spanish, because
Hmm.
it's the language of how programs and technology really functions, and it's important. There's a person that I follow called Douglas Rushkoff, and he has this saying, "Code or be coded." And I think that's quite important, especially for people of color. But, we focus on women and girls of color, but just people of color to be able to write the programs and
Yes.
not just like consume it and be controlled by the programs, if you will, to give us a chance to be the ones that control the programming.
Interesting. Interesting. I love that concept of code or be coded, and
Hmm.
flipping the script on being a consumer versus a contributor, being a
Absolutely.
consumer versus a creator.
Absolutely. So the words that you were saying about Chadwick at the beginning of your chat was so that was powerful for me, because this whole concept of creation and how we create, that can show up in many formats. So for
Hmm.
Chadwick, it was through the art and through the films and through the drama. But technologists, we're just another form of creators and creating these languages programs that bring something to the world. Now that could be good, and I won't call those names. Those
Right.
that are bad, but
Right,
that could
right.
be good or bad, just like any
Hmm.
art. But it really is an art form, and how
Hmm.
we're creating something, but using
Hmm.
technology as a tool to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that there's and I'm so not a fan of this word, but I understand its place in the scheme of life.
Hmm.
Fear. And actually, guys, next month on Refresh, we're going to be talking about fear. That's actually our theme for next month, and really taking some deep dives with that. But with you, Kimberly, do you feel that there's a certain fear, whether it's actually real or manufactured by the others,
Yeah.
that there's a fear that we don't know, that we won't get it, or it's too heady, or any of
Yeah.
those things that keep us, that seem to keep us from this world of technology and innovation.
I do think there's a fear to some extent, but I don't want us to own the
Yes.
reason that we have the fear, right? I think
Right.
that there's certainly been a narrative that's been kind of fed to us as women, and certainly as women of color, from many different places, that we can't do this and we can't
Yes.
do that and this,
Right.
that, and the
Right.
other.
Yes.
And we consume that. That's why, the words that we tell our girls and that even we tell ourselves are so very important about what we can do, because you
Yes.
can do anything if you set your mind to learn it.
Right.
But this message has been kind of propagated that girls and women and people of color can't code or can't do math, and that's not true. We just don't
Right.
know how. We haven't been
Uh-huh.
exposed to it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really all that Black Girls Code is about, is exposing these girls at a very young age, as young as we can, to
Mm-hmm.
these tools so that they can see if it's something that they're interested in, because they're certainly capable.
Right, right, right. Why do we feel that the distinction is necessary?
Hmm.
As a mom of boys, of
Hmm.
course, I would be remiss if I wasn't like, well, what's up with Black Boys Code? You,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. I do. I get
so
it.
so why do we need, and even with other brands and platforms like Black Girls Rock, Black Girl
Hmm.
Magic, as a Black girl, a show enough for real Harlem honey from New York, Black girl, my mama in them from there and all that,
Right.
well, there are times when I don't even fully subscribe to,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
talk, real transparency, to the distinction, because I feel like, well, are we utilizing segregation for elevation
Hmm. Well,
with that
I
distinction? And I know better. Don't get on
yeah.
here and start blasting me, y'all, about that. I know better. I'm being transparent to make a point.
Hmm. Well, look, for me, it goes back. I'm not sure which of the TED Talks that you watched, but if you look at my TED
Wait
Talk,
a minute, y'all. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did y'all hear her say, I don't know which one you watched? I'm going to just let that live right there for a minute.
oh man,
Proceed.
so I'm trying to slide it in.
I ain't mad at you.
But look, I say it because the one that I did most recently last year with my daughter was a special one. Like, that was special to me because I did this talk at TEDx San Francisco with my actual daughter.
Mm,
And she is the reason that I started the organization. It was her interest in gaming and technology is why I started Black Girls Code. And the reason is Black Girls Code is because what I saw as she was developing this interest is that, I had means, and I certainly had privilege as a Black woman in technology and engineering to give
mm-hmm.
her access to these things and these
Yeah.
classes that she was interested in. But when I was in those classes with her, she was the only little Black or brown girl in the room.
Yeah.
And that didn't feel good for me because that was my
Mm-hmm.
experience when I was going through college and getting my degree in engineering. And it was hard because I didn't have a community. I didn't feel I belonged. I
You
didn't
didn't have
feel anyone.
support?
No, I didn't have his support. Like, I didn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
anybody had my back. And
Mm.
I did not want that for my baby. So I was like, nope, that's not going to work
Right.
because I want her to have this community that
Yes.
supports her and makes her feel seen as soon as she
Mm.
walks in the room, right? So it's
Yes.
about feeling seen. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
think about other organizations like Black Girls Run and Black Girls Rock and Black Girls Code. It really underneath it is about community and feeling seen. So like when you walk in that room, it's like, I see you, sister. I see you. You see me, and we belong in this space. And
Mm.
that's not to say that others shouldn't learn coding or be exposed. We should. But we should also have safe spaces where we can come in the room and just be.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yeah.
And then you get to the learning and whatever else that you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
do. But a space where we can just be. Like when I
Yeah.
go see my mom and my sister and my auntie and them, I think I'm just able to be and be able to
Yes.
create that same sense of community in these spaces that we create for the girls is as important as the coding that we're teaching them once they get through the class.
Mm. So it's so much a complete, not, well, yeah, complete package of a complete experience.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so many times I hear from moms and the parents that are bringing the girls is that my daughter can't wait to get back because she's developed a whole set of friends and there's a community where she may be the only little black or brown girl when she goes to her class, if she's in an
Mm-hmm.
honors program, etc. But when she comes to Black Girls Code, she sees all these other girls just like her.
Yes. Yes.
It's important.
Now that I thank you for explaining it that way and from your lens, because I do
Mhm.
understand that as, again, as a mom of boys of color and what their interests and proclivities are. And
Mhm.
being able to understand that sometimes, yes, they may be the only in the rooms and that sort of thing. You mentioned safe space,
Mhm.
and knowing that that's important, in physical realms, of course.
Yes. Yes.
But for some of us, we kind of glance over and gloss over the fact that sometimes it's even, dare I say, more emotion or more important, from the emotional safe space.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's so important. I think we'll, especially now as we're going through these times that we're going through and the imagery that we see on TV and media on a day-to-day basis. I'm a grown woman. Like I'm mid 50s. I'm a grown and I feel the impact of those messages. And I often think about this with our students, like what do our girls feel when everything they see from their community is victimized, is marginalized, is criminalized,
Yeah.
it's never elevated, right? and
Right.
and so the emotional impact of creating these safe spaces that we are creating for our girls when they do these workshops is important because we break a little bit of that negative imagery and we say like we are celebrating you and every single thing about you to the
Yes.
core. and,
Yes.
and we see that in how they grow throughout the programs, like they're
Hmm.
self-confident, they have this strong sense of self as they mature in the program, and we know that that's what's going to be important, not just so that they can thrive like that,
Right.
yes, but even now, like just so that they can survive. So if
Yeah.
we can get that piece right, like that
Hmm.
emotional element of making them have a sense of self confidence and self efficacy, then we
Hmm.
believe that they have what they need to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Last question, because God in heaven knows I could just, chop it up with you all day.
Well, call me
Um,
that.
and I will, I will, because I'm a talk to you about teaching me the code.
Okay, okay.
I wanna, create a journey for you and I to do.
I would
Um,
love that.
okay, awesome. Now I got you on live TV saying
Yes.
that. But in terms of the efficacy, in terms
Mhm.
of affecting change, impacting economy, the power of coding has certainly shown itself, and the
Mhm.
power of technology, STEAM, STEM, innovation, and really being a true economic force,
Yes.
globally speaking, guys, globally.
Yes.
Now, how
Yes.
do we show, first of all, us, let alone the rest of the globe, that there's power in Black girls coding, that there's power in Black women coding, or women of color, girls of color? And when I say power in this moment, I mean the economic power.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I think one of the things that's important, that we all understand is that technology drives everything.
Hmm.
And I've been telling folks lately that going through this pandemic, it's never been more evident of how wide the digital divide really is. Like we all see it. Like we're on
Mm-hmm.
Zoom, this, Facebook, what this, da, da, da. Technology is how we've been able to kind of keep the economy moving,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so when I think about why this is important, is because all of the jobs now in the era, more than 50% of the jobs now, but that number continues to grow, are going to be driven by technology or in some type of STEM or STEAM field. So the economic impact of having women, so now I want to break it back and move back a little bit just to women
Yeah.
at the table,
Mm-hmm.
creating these solutions is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because we bring a different lens as women to the work, and really creating tools and technology that serve the greater good,
Yeah.
and also is a huge economic driver, both here in the US and across the world. So it's
Mm-hmm.
important not only just for women, because it's an economic equalizer, if you will, to be in technology, but it's
Mm.
important for like the global world because of the solutions that women, uh, Black women, people of color will build, that meets the needs of a broader array of the community and not just one segment. So those are
Mm-hmm.
the two drivers, both economic and community, that
Yeah.
make it important for Black girls to code.
Mm. 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 So of course we have two other phenomenal women on our roster for today to get to. But thank you so much to Kimberly Bryant, to Black Girls Code. Guys, follow them. You can definitely get lots of information in terms of their workshops and everything that they're doing, to see how you can be a part of it, how you can support it, and just be down. I know I'm gonna just say this. We've made a lifelong friendship right here.
All right.
That's about to jump off.
All right.
Because I feel like there's so much synergy, and there's so much that we can do to really next level this thing.
I love
And
it.
so thank you for being here, and for what you do, and for being a trailblazer. You were the first, and that's not an easy path at all to forge. So thank you so much for all that you do. Blessings to you and your daughter, and everything that you're doing, and your entire team. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kim, and thank you for seeing us and for opening up your space to share our message. We appreciate you and we love you.
Thank you. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. Love you, girl. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So, guys, that was Kimberly Bryant with Black Girls Code. Fantastic conversation. I'm so just just fired up and ready to go. So I just thank you again, Kimberly, for that wonderful conversation. Guys, again, this this chat, my conversations at the end of the month, every last two Saturdays of the month, is always sponsored by my lifestyle brand, Refresh by KF, where we believe Proverbs that says, he who refreshes others will be refreshed. So we hope to refresh you with these conversations, with the themes, and with the platform. So this month, our theme is power of words.